Dear guests of third hybrid lecture organized by SheExo Club, I'm really happy to be able to greet you this virtual way, the way that we are kind of used because we are in this mode for 1 year and a half. I believe that this will not prevent us to communicate well. Now we are more experienced than ever, and please use the opportunity to do so via chat, via Q&A, because today we really have special guests. Circular economy, sustainability, these are buzzwords these days. For some, it's still like, okay, we've heard about this, but we are not sure what it is, or maybe it's not like, it's not pertaining to me, it's not relevant to me, my business, it's maybe for some production, which is kind of dirty, and some changes needs to be made. I'm not expert on this, and I will have experts today that will talk about the subject, but I'm sure that after this workshop, you will see that the sustainability and circular economy in the extent that it's already there. It's basically, it touches all of us. It touches the financial systems because the green money is there so that it can help you to make changes into your supply chain, into your business, and also in how we consume in production, so it affects every bit of our lives. I will start by introducing our guests and panelists. I have two ladies and one male here, my colleague, and I will start with Muhammad. Muhammad Semic is a senior manager in consulting and risk. He has on-hands experience in projects on circular economy and sustainability, so basically working with the clients, with companies who want to make significant change in this area. Thank you, Muhammad, for being with us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
My second guest is Ivana Turjak-Čebohin. She's director in an audit practice and one of the pioneers of the non-financial reporting, which is for the auditors, it was, I believe, not so easy to assume as some addition to regular financial reports. However, Ivana took on to lead the Green Frog Award, so the award for the best sustainability report by companies, and she's leading and basically bringing this torch over so many years right now, and I'm sure that she will share how she sees the development in this area. So, Ivana, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
And my third guest, I had to take a paper. It's kind of easier to introduce your colleagues that you work every day with. However, my third guest, her kind of work and legacy in this area is so extended and so big that I will have to read it. So I'm really happy and proud to present Ms. Ladea Godina-Košir. She is internationally renowned circular economy expert, speaker, lecturer, moderator, and a passionate connector. She is the founder and CEO of Circular Change, co-leader of the research group CE Systems in Vienna, and co-chair of the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform in Brussels. She is also, which is kind of very important to stress, because she has also on-hand experience, she is the co-author of the roadmap towards the circular economy in Slovenia, Serbia, Montenegro, and Chile.
Yeah.
Chile, as well as of several CE articles and reports. So, Ladea, thank you for being here with us. I know that you have this multidisciplinary approach, that you have worked with the governments, but also with the companies. So, I'm really, really happy to host you here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Ladea. As a start, to warm us up, I will pass this mic and give the floor to Ms. Ladea Godina-Košir for her to give us a short presentation for up to 15 minutes for us to learn what is circular economy, what's in it for me, how it really relates to our lives. After that, we will have the panel. During the panel, you can freely into the chat, into the Q&A, you can ask whatever questions it may come up. We will answer all the questions if this will be possible. If not, we will see how to reply to the rest of the questions, which will not be possible to answer until the end of this workshop. Our time is scheduled until 12:30, so again, thank you for being with us. Now I'm really happy to have Ladea on the floor. Thank you, Ladea.
Thank you very much for this introduction, and let's start. Thank you. So warm welcome to everyone. I'm really happy and pleased that I'm the guest on this very special day, because today is St. Valentine, and we celebrate love. And I'm coming from the country that is the only country with love in its name, Slovenia. So we will be talking about something what resonates with love, with our feelings, and this is circular economy. What does it have to do with that? You will see later on. It's all about well-being, about that, how we feel good, how we preserve our nature, our society, our economy. So let me invite you to this journey towards circular experiences. First of all, to warm up. What is going on out there? Maybe you think that circular economy is something what has nothing to do with your daily life or with your business or with your decisions, but you can see great examples like Patagonia, for example, a successful brand in fashion industry very much devoted towards circular concepts, and they're successful on the market by implementing these principles. Then we have another cases like something what we all have in our hands, in our pockets, phones. Mobile phones, they can be very sustainable as well. We have an example of Fairphone company, and they're producing Fairphones that can be repaired, the parts can be replaced, and they're successful on the market. And we can move even further on. What is happening in the financial sector? Even there, you can find a lot of green financing and a lot of approaches toward that, how to finance those businesses that are circular. I guess that now you're already sensing that it is not so much detached from what you're doing, no matter whether you're a CEO, whether you're a banker, whether you are a leader of NGO. So circular economy is the principle that can be embedded everywhere. And today, what are we going to do? We will dive through several points, and later on in the discussion, we will touch them a little bit more. So first of all, I will introduce where I'm coming from, so the Circular Change Platform, just briefly. Then we will talk or touch more female leadership, because something is happening in the field of leadership as well. Then we will go to the green and sustainable circular words. What is that? Is that a buzzword or something more? Then a little bit more about systemic change, so how this whole transformation is happening on different levels. Then new business models, a short insight into that, and then the money makes the world go round, so we will touch that point as well and conclude with some food for thought. So as I said, first, where I'm coming from. So this is Circular Change is private nonprofit organization, and it has been established in 2016 when circular economy was not very popular. And I was often asked, wow, what are you doing? Are you going to start dealing with waste management, or what is that? But as you will see, it is much more than just waste management. It's the whole concept and the whole business model behind. And in those years, we became a kind of the best entry point for your circular economy journey. So we are experts as the team, but more than that, we know who to find to connect and how to make then your story even more successful than you can do it by yourself, because it is all about collaboration. So that is how we operate, and we really contribute to different projects, as you have heard in the kind introduction. So there is everything, different stakeholders, from the government to the business sector, and we have national strategies, roadmaps, as well as the advising on the change of the business models and different other things. So we are also the part of Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform in Brussels. So I'm really inviting you to check that on the web. what this platform is actually offering. I'm co-chairing it now for the third mandate, and we just came from Dubai, when we have got 2 days, European days, of good circular economy practices. So through this platform, you can really reach different audiences, address them, and publish your events, or publish your reports, or find partners for collaboration. And the other thing is that the whole story around circular economy is a global story. Therefore, we have partners from Brazil to Japan to Nordic countries. And this is just an example how we collaborate with our Brazilian friends, Exchange for Change, like a network of circular economy change makers. So why I'm showing that? Because no one is alone, and we do need each other. So it's not that we stay in our silos and think, oh, I cannot do that, where to start, what is in it for me, as I said at the beginning. It's more about exploring and learning from each other. So what is this circular economy, actually? It is not waste management, as I said at the beginning. It's a super exciting topic. Why? Because everything starts with design. We're thinking, do we have to produce something, or we can maybe use it as a service? And once we decide that we are going to produce something, how to do that? In the old linear way, where we just take and use and then dispose, throw away, or in a circular way, so that we design things, as I mentioned at the beginning, the Fairphone, for example, in a way that this phone will last a long time, so that we can repair, refurbish, and keep it. So while keeping it, we are maintaining value for a longer time. And now through COVID crisis and to the whole story around resources, I guess that each of us noticed how things are becoming more expensive, or how they're not accessible anymore. So this principle of maintaining value and of having the control over the materials is becoming really the essence of our business. So there are more principles embedded in this circular economy, and of course we want to eliminate the waste. So that is why we want to design the things in a way that they do not become waste. And we want to produce less, as I said, more services, maybe less products. And then we want to circulate these materials for as long as possible. And at the very end, we want them to regenerate. So this is really a broad concept, and everyone can find a place in this story, because value chains are changing, the opportunities on the markets are changing, demand is changing, so it is really the right moment. And as we see through the Green Deal and everything what is coming, this is really the topic. So what else we do as a circular change? We want to bring the topic to the people, so that it is not detached, and that it's not something, what is boring, or what is another burden on our super busy schedule. Therefore, what we did is also that we published a publication, and we call it Circular Insider, with insight into the stories about circular change makers. So from bank sector to startups, everyone is there. And even Franz Timmermans proudly took this publication and promoted it, because it's really about communication. How we communicate that and how we get people on board for this exciting transformation. And as said before, we are working on several fields, on projects, on roadmaps, foresight, exercise, so a lot of stuff. Now, a little bit more about what are we going to touch in the discussion. So, female leadership, what is happening? Women are coming on the front with the new thinking how economy actually works. So the old paradigm is changed. And one of the authors, Kate Rufford, is challenging us with the concept of the planetary boundaries. So how we operate and how we run economies, but having in mind that there are boundaries, that we cannot use more than the planet can offer. So this is one example of that, how women are coming in with new concepts, introducing new kind of thinking within the economy. Then mentioning the buzzword, I said already on the European level, it is promoted through Green Deal, through Green Recovery Plans, European Bauhaus, and the whole story around SDGs is also focused on circular economy, actually, because we want to maintain resources and assure well-being for everyone. So it is not something what is not on the agenda. It is very much on the agenda also of the companies. Here is one example of Laško Union from Slovenia. When Heineken came in and bought the companies, they introduced the concept where SDGs are in the essence. So it's not just about reporting at the end, but it is really that it is embedded in the core of the business. And you can see more examples like that. So therefore, what we have to do is really to have this systemic approach to see how to change business models. And there are several tools. One of them is Systemic Compass. You can take a look at that. That is addressing the entry points for this circular economy journey, from redefining leadership to redefining metrics, so we touch every single point. Then if we move forward to the national roadmaps, why are they needed? And with Deloitte, we are now co-creating one for Montenegro, and we started also working with Kosovo. They're important because they're introducing where are the opportunities on the single market to really start this transformation. And if you're thinking about the business model, what is in it for you? There is an interesting survey showing that CEOs in Europe are very much aware of that circular economy brings also profits and help you maintain your business on the market. There are results showing of this survey of 500 CEOs made by Ambrosetti House that actually the CEOs see this necessity for finding the place for circular economy within their business model. So it is not an additional cost. It is something what brings you profits. And there are different business models. I will not go into the details. We will discuss it later on, what is happening on the market. But Sitra from Finland introduced them like from changing supply chain to prolonging the product life cycle and so on. So there are different approaches, and it is worth exploring. I would like just to highlight something what is also an example how we are learning from mistakes. This is the very well-known Slovenian company, actually Gorenje. But when they started their circular journey with washing machines, they did not do it in a proper way, because not every single business model is right for every single brand. And we will touch it later as well. I just want to remind you that it is not copy-paste, but that we should understand our own business and then approach with the right business model. And as I said, money makes the world go round. A lot of money is on the market, and we are recognizing that what we value is what is important. And we valued money too much, the financial capital in the past. Natural capital was not valued at all, and human capital was not valued enough, or social capital. So now we have to find a new balance, and with this financial capital, really support also the social and the natural capital and address all dimensions, economic, social, and environmental. We have a lot of reports, a lot of insights into that, how to allocate this money. As you know, in Europe, now with green recovery programs, there is money, and on our markets, we have to know how to invest and not how to spend this money. That's why it's important that we discuss and talk about that, how circular economy can make most out of that. So in banking segment, as well as insurance companies, this is the topic, because we need new experts for that, and we need the knowledge to know how to allocate money, how to evaluate also the businesses. So there is quite a challenging time. And to conclude with what is important, I open this with emphasizing the need for collaboration and co-creation, and now the concept of network governance, meaning that those stakeholders that are on the ground should know how to collaborate, how to establish new value chains. That is becoming more and more important. And Professor Kramer from the Netherlands, former Minister for Environment, introduced this concept of network governance and of transition brokers. So look around and find out who is the right transition broker for your story to support your circular transition and to make you someone who will maintain the position on the market. And to conclude, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Therefore, sometimes it's hard because we do not know what is coming, but let's be brave and let's collaborate and co-create the solutions for the bright future. Thank you very much. I'm super happy that now I can join the panel and continue this discussion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ladea, on very inspirative presentation. It was actually a great introduction to topics which we try to cover a bit further today, and together with our colleague Mohamed Semic. Before we start, one more, I would like to encourage our audience to join us with questions, with their thoughts, dilemmas, or even experience which they can share. So maybe to start, since this webinar is organized by Deloitte's initiative SheXO, which support women in a business, maybe to open discussion with this topic which you mentioned about women leadership. So both of you have experience and in this region and further. But what is your opinion? What is approach of females towards these topics? Is it different than the male seeing those things? Are the women maybe more sensitive to those questions, maybe more concerned about our futures and, as you said, planet boundaries? Or maybe there is no any difference regarding gender. It is just a matter of attitude toward those questions. So maybe Ladea.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
please.
So I will continue. Yes, I touched that point. As you said, it is more the matter of values. First of all, what we value and how we then operate out of those values. And what we have learned now, because we have climate crisis on one hand, on the other now health crisis, and the collapse of systems, educational system is under threat, insurance companies are under, so everything is really shaky. And what we see here is we need these characteristics, or what is more natural to women, to care, to collaborate, to include. But it does not mean that a man cannot do that. So these are more these characteristics or competencies. And what we see, one change is happening on the level of economy as the science. And therefore, I introduce the book, the donut economics, for example. And the other is happening within the companies or within the systems, like also on the level of the government, when this principle is coming in as well. And I think that we are in a search for a new balance. So if we were very male-driven regarding the values and the principles, now we are all looking for this new balance. Yeah.
Definitely, and yes, circular economy is something, let's say, fairly new, and it's a great opportunity for all of us, basically, to build a system to use the opportunity of a new system, and also with connected with COVID-19 recovery, to build a fairer and a better system. And I'm a huge supporter of female entrepreneurship, and I believe we can all use basically circular economy to make some things fairer if we couldn't would do it in a past period. So I believe today during the panel we will touch base a lot of examples, but basically there are a lot of things where we can accentuate what you were speaking of.
Yeah, when you mentioned this donut economy, it's actually very interesting. I looked at TED speech of Kate, and it's really something that we need to change actually our way of not just thinking but also behaving. And what you mentioned also, and she's saying that in an old way, some growth was equal to progress, and today progress will be in balancing, assessing all human rights and not jeopardize our planet resources. It was really interesting speech where she said, if you know one economist, share these thoughts and share this donut model with them, which is actually very interesting to hear and actually to apply. Also, you mentioned some of those women who are dealing with gender balancing. I thought interesting that she said that actually good financial result can be linked with gender-balanced leadership. So this is also a good point to think of.
Yeah, again, as you mentioned, so what are the KPIs that we are putting in the center? That is important. And if this is a growth, and growth, it doesn't lead, I mean, it has limits. We cannot grow forever. So therefore, first, it's important what we agree on, what are we going to measure, and what is then recognized as a success. So are you successful if you are growing, or are you successful if you are maintaining well-being, to make it very simple? So, and then also we are back to that, how you are lead then. So the leaders who are then creating this culture where you feel good because you contribute to something good, and this is good in economic sense. It is not that we stop operating. Yeah. We are still operating, but we are not abusing the nature or the resources or the society. So that's why I think it's really good to watch these talks, TED Talks and so on, and to rethink, it's not, some people say, should we go back to the cave and stop? No, no, no. It is just a different mindset and a different way of working. I'm sure that...
We want to see diverse thinking, not only in circular economy, but basically in doing business. When we work and speak with boards of big companies, of banks, we always try to see a difference in thinking there. So the company would collapse if all the board members would just think one way. So when coming to a circular economy, or if you say that we kind of broaden our thinking, we are very interested to see people in management, in boards who can drive the business, but also people who can very carefully think about risk management, thinking about the overall environment. And yes, maybe today we are doing well with kind of access to indefinite access to resources, but we want to see people who will make right questions. What will be in 5 to 10 years? Will our business model still be okay as is now? So circular economy basically helps to bring some new topics on the table, and to kind of put the longevity in our businesses.
So regardless of gender, we obviously have a lot to think. And why this tsunami of these promises and these buzzwords? Are they buzzwords, or it is really change which is here and which we need to adopt our business and ourselves at the end? What do you think? What is the reason?
I would say both. So I would not like that we just stay on the buzzwords. It is a buzzword, but it is a buzzword with a real value. Buzzword that is happening. So, and then if a buzzword can help to kind of spread the message, okay, we are. I believe we are all in. But circular economy in general, it's a real thing. Businesses, countries, geographies are really changing themselves with circular economy, and I believe we need kind of positive buzzwords now just to spread the message further. Unfortunately, awareness about these concepts is, I would say, in our geography is still low. And also, if we would somehow compare, maybe we can say that people heard of circular economy. They maybe know the kind of basic notions, but they are mentioned several times, and I believe it's kind of a biggest game changer is the question, what's in for me in there, and I'm very excited about our partnership with Ladea, and in past 3 years, one of the key tasks that we have been working on is kind of to spread the message and showcase to the wider community what benefits can the circular economy bring.
Yeah, since it is St. Valentine and I'm a woman, I will take this a little bit from the perspective of falling in love and maintaining the relationship. So when you're falling in love, everything is nice and super, and the buzzwords are, circular economy, sustainability, it's so great. But once you get into that, then the real work starts, as in a relationship. After 1 year, as we know, or 3 years,
When
they
we
say,
woke up.
you wake up, the pink glasses are not there anymore, and the hard work starts. And it is the same with the circular economy now, I would say. We are all talking about that, and we are so enthusiastic and so on, but therefore I have shown the example of Gorenje, not to criticize them, but we should learn from each other, because not everything works, and it's not only romantic, as nothing is. And here we are talking again about this balance. As Mohammed said, what is interesting about the collaboration between Deloitte and Circular Change, I guess that this is an example of that, how we should respect each other and count on the competencies that we have and combine them for the joint success, to say so, and offering that then to the market as well. And we can see that exactly that, that you say, aha, I'm good in this, but I do not know that, is so important is this circular transformation. Because circular economy as such, it is an old principle. Let's say 50 years ago, it was also in the industries. If I take Gorenje again, or I can take Miele, like home appliances, you know, you bought a machine, a washing machine or refrigerator, and then it worked. My grandma got the machine, the washing machine that lasted 30 years. And then my uncle came and he repaired, and everything was simple. So that was very circular in a way. So somewhere we have to go back a little bit and rethink what happened in the meantime. Somewhere we have really to reinvent things and be very innovative and use digitalization and everything. So there are different models and approaches, but it is not that it is worth trying. We have to do that because resources are definitely limited. And there is no other answer. I say usually that you can become another Kodak. You know, just being blind, nothing will happen to me, but then all of a sudden you are not on the market anymore.
Okay. And what is actually trigger when clients approach you? What is their motivation? So they want to be, I don't know, low compliance, or they see it as an opportunity for their growth, for their better performance. They see it maybe as an area to be more competitive. What is a driver for them, or it's combination?
Initial trigger can be different, but I believe when we start working with clients, that wow factor comes imminent rather soon. As I already said, a lot of people are generally aware of the concept, but maybe not aware of all the benefits and all the kind of good things that it could be done there. And yes, onboarding on this Valentine's story, you know, maybe a first crush could be, you know, I want to do good, or I want to be a kind of a nice company, or maybe I've seen the potential of some cost savings by saving on resources. But basically, when we start working, when we start discussing with different stakeholders, when we kind of start the innovation process where we look not only into the current process of companies, but basically potentials for other business models, then basically there comes a myriad of different things, and then I believe kind of fall in love goes there. Yes, regulations are for sure an important part of this story, but a lot of things can be done even without regulations. But basically, Ladea, her team and we really did a nice project in geographies and economies which will totally not driven by regulations, but by some other means.
But I would add to this that with COVID, the word resilience became very important. And what we have learned in Europe as well, and it is more serious than this Valentine story, it is about peace and war. We can see what are the tensions now. So the oil is losing the value on the market, and other resources are becoming more valuable. So then you're more vulnerable if you do not have those resources. And we have seen what happened to automotive industry. So because there are not the parts coming from different continents, the industry is stuck. And even now, with those protests in Canada, for example, we can see what are the consequences. So therefore, the story of Europe is really how to maintain the resilience, how to make us less dependent on others, and how to strengthen our economy. And once this is in the core, it becomes really a serious game. And as you have seen in that graph that I have shown from the Ambrosetti House, for example, the CEOs are recognizing this as a necessity. So it is not nice to have. It is a must. And then there are different approaches. Of course, someone would like to change the value chain. Someone else is looking for, I don't know, new collaborations or acquisitions. So it depends. But it is something what you cannot avoid anymore. And with the money that is available now for green recovery, there was a nice survey that has been done by also the Chatham House. Next week I speak with them, therefore I've got a brief. And they told me, I was surprised that they did this analysis about the importance of circular economy for the allocation of course, green funds and the money that is on the market. And there is a lot of need for the projects. So we have to be ready how to integrate this money into the real stuff. It is still on the shelf. So that's why every single stakeholder should think about and is thinking about that, how to be part of this game. Yeah.
And basically, analog to this female leadership story that we're saying, I think in this COVID-19 recovery, there is plenty of things that we can learn and that basically that we can do better. And circular economy, I believe, can play a crucial role there. Speaking about resources, I believe the world is changing that way, that people are really thinking that resources are not indefinite. And maybe water was kind of accessible and cheap 30 or 40 years ago in our region. But basically, we are thinking what will happen in the future and how we can change that business model. Well, there you mentioned a few of these breweries. So breweries were naturally built around sources of wells of water, but you know how we can count on that well would be still there in 20 years, and basically you know you can have the best business processes, the high-end automation or digital strong management, but if you're lack with kind of primary resource, what you gonna do? So as Oladea said, there are plenty of kind of really nice and affordable models in circular economy that both small, medium, and large businesses, but not only businesses, also governments can take into account basically to kind of provide a better environment for the business, but also for our surrounding stakeholders.
Both of you worked on such a project, so can you share with us what was your actually task, how you help governments in the area of making infrastructure or platform to help companies to actually work in circular economy?
So we can address this circular economy roadmap. So the first one that we co-created was the one in Slovenia. And what we did, we mapped the opportunities and then we recognized the priority sectors and we wrote a kind of recommendation. So this is a process that is very important as a process since you are engaging different stakeholders and getting an overview. Of course, it's easy in a way to do it in Slovenia when we are 2 million people. But then we collaborated with Chile. So, for example, we were asked, can you contribute to our roadmap? And for me personally, that was great experience because we were working online. I mean, it is already ridiculous, but anyhow, we were very much aligned on that, how to approach, because Chile is linear country, as you know, and huge. And we said, okay, let's make this linear country the most circular regarding the economy. But what was important that you cannot, of course, course, copy-paste the concept, but within Chile, we have defined different areas or regions that have different approach towards circular economy. Somewhere mining is important. Somewhere else, the heritage, the cultural heritage is important. Somewhere else, there is a lot of manufacturing. So that was a very good example of that, how you can use the principles, like the process, but really come out with a completely different outcome. And now with Deloitte and Mohamed and the team, when we were working on Montenegro, even smaller country than Slovenia, you know, it is a variety of things, but what we have faced is the lack of data, for example. So again, you have to focus very much on the stakeholders, on the inputs you get from them, and based on that, try to be objective as much as you can to make this kind of guidelines, how to move forward and where are those potentials. But this is what I like personally, again, is this engagement. So this is not something what you prescribe top down, but as I mentioned, this is this network governance, to find the change makers on the ground and enable them so that they make this transformation. And that is what is charming for me.
Yeah, definitely. And these roadmaps, they are really an inclusive process. So we really talk, we do workshops with a lot of stakeholders, trying basically to identify what is happening in such a geo. What are the key players? What are the key industries? Among those industries, where is the greatest potential for circular economy? So these recommendations, basically, they vary from academia, civil sector, government, private sector. So we are trying to kind of tackle the topic comprehensively, to see where we can have benefits, both as kind of quick wins, but also in setting foundations for longer term goals. And yes, based on feedback that we are receiving, I think it's not just about preparing a roadmap as such, but basically preparing those stakeholders, future key players in circular economy, for the things it will come. So usually after those workshops, you know, people are very excited and say, "I'm looking forward. What is going to happen next? Where this will bring my business?" So kind of, I believe it's a indirect but very strong value that these roadmaps will keep, as they are kind of, as I already said, very inclusive and kind of, I believe, very strong documents.
Yeah, I also have feeling that people are not resisting to those topics. Actually, we are all interested in that. It's very close to us. Probably obstacles came later when you start to deal with the situation, but I think that there is no, no, it's not a story for me. It's kind of close to us, to our families, to friends, and somehow reflecting on all of us. So, to hearing said that actually situation is that circular economy is here. We need to adapt, and we don't need to be afraid. Actually, I think that there are a lot of opportunity there, and maybe if we talk about our region, maybe this awareness was lower, and now it become higher and higher. But considering the fact that we are still clear region, that we have clear waters, and nature is nice in Slovenia, in Bosnia and Croatia, in the whole region, so probably we have good opportunities to manage those resources.
Yeah, that is something what I'm known of promoting, the region as such. So what I find particularly exciting about this implementation of circular economy is that it is interdisciplinary. So you should not be in your silos, but really to look what is out there and with whom you can collaborate. And once you start introducing this concept, then it is a kind of eye-opener, because energy sector realize, we have something to do with the mobility sector realize, but there is something what we have to do with food, for example, and so on. So, and they find out how interconnected and interdependent they actually are. And if you zoom out then and take a look to our region, let's call it Western Balkans, ex-Yugoslavia, however we want, I see it really as an asset, and we altogether are small regarding the Europe, and Europe is very small regarding the globe. So if we are not going to be the masters of this play, of this circular transformation, someone else is going to be or already is, because we see that investors that are coming in because of the natural resources, because of human resources, and sometimes we are not aware of the assets we have. And this is definitely, this is nature, and the land we have, we can produce food, we have still drinking water and so on, and we have, I would really like to emphasize that, great people. And we are talking about brain drain, but these people are a capacity. So no matter whether we are using their brains or their hands. Because in this region, we were good handymans because we were repairing a Zastava car or something, you know, or the TV or so on. So this is what we need. We need very high educated people on one side, and on the other, those who are skilled, and they're equally valuable on the market. And if we, as a region, recognize that, become proud of that, and start managing that in a proper way, that would be something. So I really hope that these roadmaps will contribute to this awakening of the region and of our self-confidence in ourselves.
I would just say collaboration is key here. And basically, we have seen lots of examples where a waste in one company could be an input resource in another company. You know, but it's kind of you ask how to trigger those events in companies. Usually, for instance, that amount of waste is not that significant in kind of SME companies to be monetized. But if we can collaborate, if we can connect company A with a company B and say, hey, look, guys, you can help each other. One company can start with thinking, oh, okay, let's do something with my waste. Plan B could be, okay, let's think, how about my resources? Is there some other waste that maybe I can use as kind of input for my resource? And then we can come to a completely new business model, how to monetize something that we maybe thought that is waste. And when we have a lot of these kind of examples from the ground. For instance, there was one clothing company that produced shirts, and they have these small leftovers, and they say, look, we don't know what to do with it. They are very small. They cannot be sold somewhere. But basically, we found another company, also a clothing one for protective equipment that can use that, for instance, to make small pockets. So yes, one company can be a contributor to another one, and there is also plenty of these companies, especially maybe in kind of non or traditional industries. Because when we think about circular economy, I believe kind of manufacturing is kind of first that we think. But for instance, Croatia is a super strong tourist country. There are a lot of potentials in one of our roadmaps. There was also a country which kind of primary GDP source is tourism, and we have done a lot of kind of very nice examples, basically for, I don't know, from a port management company to a hotel company, where basically with combining resources from one to another, you can make great things.
Hopefully the number of your clients increasing, showing that more and more companies actually accepting those new strategy in their strategy.
We hope so, and we are working on it, and as I said, not only for us, but I believe it kind of generally for the environment and for the society, it would be very much important that we do in increasing awareness of this topic. So, you know, we are at some level, we have, I believe, as a wider community, have basic understanding, but coming back to this topic, what's there in for me, I believe, you know, we should all work there, and when we kind of pass that first hurdle, things go smoothly then.
Okay, I have a feeling that companies are aware that they need to change. And we see a lot of these green tech startups which already starts with some innovative green ideas. And but what about companies which we have a lot, which are big, which are successful today, and now they need to make this turn, and this is really something completely, I would say, different what they did in prior years. How they should start, from where? What is entry point?
Entry point for them, yes. It's interesting that what you said, but I would say, so we are operating more out of the region. So with the companies also in Nordic countries, or we collaborate with Netherlands and so on. So, but what we see is that those big companies or big organizations are more capable for this transformation than the small ones. Why? Because they have the capacity, like the human capital, and they have financial capital, and they understand the trends, and they have this, so they are not Titanic in a way that they would get stuck, but they're sensing the change and they are adopting a lot. So I'm more concerned about small businesses, and not only me, but this is something what is in Europe very high on the agenda, because small businesses that are the core of European economy have much worse, or it is harder for them to access financial resources to create the project and so on. So an example, in Italy, what happened, Banca Intesa created a circular economy hub so that they allocated money and simple instruments for the Italian family-run small businesses to make them circular. So this is important to understand that this segment, micro and small companies, are more in danger, to say so, than the big ones. And from this very perspective, it's important to see how big companies can onboard small companies, what Mohammed said, like this industrial symbiosis, for example. When you have something what is waste for you, let's say plastics, for example, this is very popular. And if you have plastic bottles, you know, and you are a small company maybe with these plastic bottles, and you put these plastic bottles in one landfill, and the other, and then you have the operator, and out of this we can collect enough plastic bottles to be then recycled in the granulate, and you can then reuse them as a plastic bottles. But if you're not within this system and you are a small producer, then you are out of the game, because the regulation is telling you that your bottle should be recycled. And just today I bought one and I saw 100% recycled from the Croatian brand. So that is why the focus should go on small companies as well. But just to, because you asked about big ones, I mentioned Heineken and Laško Union, for example. And what is the trigger there? As you said, water is important, but the other thing that everyone can sense nowadays, what is getting more expensive? Energy. And is the question now how to get cheaper energy, or is the first question how to use less energy? And here we are coming to this shift. So how the big companies can readjust their models to use less resources, but still to maintain the production. And there is the core. So not just, let's make it cheaper. No. Let's use less.
Yeah. All sizes of companies can find a trigger. We in Deloitte love to say, and basically it's very much applicable to circular economies, think big, start small, scale fast. So even if you are a really big company, and it would be kind of a really big cost to completely transform a company in a short time period, you can always find one process, a one part of your business, one silo that you can start to circulate. Try there, invest there, see the results, and basically transfer the know-how and lessons learned to the entire business. And yes, as Oladea said, so waste, water use, energy use, there are plenty of these. Let's call it silos that you can do one by one, and then in some time point, basically combine that everything. And yes, these smaller firms and startup, you know, they are not kind of limited with traditional thinking, with kind of old style thinking. They can immediately start about thinking, my first business model, I want to make it green, I want to make it circular. So basically, they can start immediately brainstorming there. And yes, I would say waste is kind of very popular thing. And in kind of different geos, we are seeing a lot of challenges in handling and treating waste. So companies or startups that have really good ideas how to transform a waste management system, you know, they could be really a fabulous winners these times.
So actually you said this systematic approach is a necessity. You cannot succeed, especially not in circular economy by yourself. You need to have this systematic approach. You mentioned these 5 business model. So companies need to find what suits them the best, or start a bit with circular economy, and then the story probably expand by itself. What about financing? So we have company, it's aware that circular economy is something that needs to be adopted. They have maybe some idea. What about funding? What about financing of these changes?
Yeah, Mohammed will tell more for sure, but what we can see and what I have introduced is really, so first the banks woke up. So again, I will go to the Netherlands because they're Rabobank and ING Bank, they were the leaders, and then I mentioned already Banca Intesa in Italy. So they realized, we should not have the same glasses when evaluating risk of the companies, because something is short-term and might work perfectly well, but what about mid-term? Is this business sustainable in a sense? Will they manage to maintain this business within this existing business model or not? So that's why they invested a lot of time and money into understanding the market and understanding the changes. So that was the first. So the banking sector, then insurance companies, then they came because, what is now the risk? What should we assure? You know, so, and the change happened there. Then we can see the funds, green funds, while now the money for pension funds is seeking for green solutions, sustainable solutions. So this is another change, you know, and you can all of a sudden see that the whole financial market is going through this transformation. And then, of course, this is then the feedback also for companies or for other entities or stakeholders that, you can be brave enough now to introduce something to your banker. And we can see this in Slovenia now. I don't know how it's in Croatia, for example, but in Slovenia is really the banking and insurance sector very active and agile now in that to openly speak about the knowledge that they need, the transformation that is needed. And that is what I like about the circular economy, because you don't have to pretend that you have all the answers. No, you can say openly, I'm the biggest bank in Slovenia and I'm learning now how to approach this transformation. So I think these are good signs also for us all, that we should together explore, learn, fail, but really even in financial sector that is so rigid and traditional, introduce new concepts, yes.
I think for all the circular economy lovers, it's really good to say that there is currently enough money on the market. But what we are missing is basically good projects. So you know, for several years, markets have been very liquid, negative interest rate. We know it also. I believe money is not the key problem now. So who brings the quality projects? Who can bring project? For instance, I mentioned this. Who can bring a project that will even partially, I don't know, solve the waste management issue? For sure, it will get support from financial markets. We have been working with several banks in Croatia, also in the region of integrating these ESG principles into their process. And yes, it's a really thing that is coming. And as Oladea says, banks have really picked up there. You know, banks and risk managers from banks, they are thinking this way. Okay, you submitted financial reports to me. Okay, I see you are doing well, but basically, if I'm giving you a long-term investment loan, how will your business perform in 5, 10 years? Could you still have access to these resources that you're having now? Okay, yes. Under what conditions? At what prices? So things are things are changing, and especially everything what we are seeing in kind of a global world, and also the rise of pandemics, and also a likelihood of kind of other future global events that might happen. Things are moving toward a kind of sustainable way of doing businesses, and banks and basically all other financial markets, they are going that way, and they will even go further. So for all of you seeking for a loan, be prepared that in next a year, so maybe even now, your bank will ask you a few questions in a way how we are treating climate risk. Do you have a plan for a kind of resources shortage, or how is your business really performing when it comes to environment? And in some other projects, we've seen that basically it's a bigger and bigger pressure on, especially on infrastructure projects, to realize the kind of myriad of different things that was certain project can impact, and banks will pose those questions, but as I said, I think all our strengths and energy should be now in really thinking and brainstorming about real quality circular economy projects, and if we bring them to the table, I'm less concerned about financing that we could find.
And if I may jump in, because you pointed something what I find super relevant for the region. Mostly we are suppliers. And what you mentioned about banks, how they're evaluating companies, the suppliers, the companies are evaluating suppliers in this very same way. So if we take a car producer from Germany, what is a typical, let's say, company that collaborates with companies in our region, this company will ask exactly for this criteria. So it's not enough that you are cheap, let's say, or that your employees are quite reliable, but it is important how green you are, how much energy you use, all these criteria. So therefore, for us, coming back to the region is really crucial that we wake up and realize that, maybe we can maintain this business for another 3 years, but what is next? Then they will pick someone else who will be more circular or more green. So therefore, it's really important that we keep this in mind and do not be like a sleeping beauty, And then we woke up one day and realized that we don't have these businesses anymore. So this is also, so on one side you have banks, on the other you have these big companies to which we are suppliers.
So there is business rationale behind it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You said also banks said more circular, lower risk. So we can maybe expect in the future that even price of capital will be lower for companies who has sustainable business model, because there are lower risk for banks in those areas.
Definitely, there are plenty of now finances basically that banks use those finances that are cheaper, but have a certain criteria where that finances can be used. So yes, and everything is about supply and or demand, but yes, about taking risk. And if we can prove that we have a sustainable business model, that our reliance of kind of offshoring or reliance of certain resources is lower, and that we can, using circular models, we can offer some alternatives there. Definitely it's a lower risk than just purely rely on one source, on one resource. So yes, I believe it's imminent now and will be more and more present in the coming future.
Okay, so maybe then go back once again to this importance of network governance to actually have successful circular economy transition. So what would you suggest in that area? What does it mean having a good
network governance, yes. So to simplify again, so network governance means that you manage to orchestrate different stakeholders that are there with the more or less the same interest what they want to achieve. And if I make it even more practical, for example, in the Netherlands, again, because Professor Kramer is coming from Netherlands and she was working there on this very project, the question of mattresses. So how to make mattresses more circular? Because we know now that once we use the mattress, it goes to the waste and most likely to incineration. So this orchestration started, or this transition broker in the middle started to talk first to the producers of the mattresses, and they realized, but even more important are those who are selling those mattresses like IKEA and big companies, so we should integrate them. Then, consumers, what they do, they don't want, because these are big things, they don't want to run around with it. We should assure a service to pick up those mattresses. We need startups probably with the app for traceability of these mattresses and so on. All of a sudden, the value chain, so those actors were from big companies, like I said, multinational companies, to startups. And then they created the ecosystem in which they closed the loop. So those who were producing mattresses started to produce them in a way that they could be repaired, refurbished, and so on. Once the clients didn't want them anymore, there was the infrastructure to pick it, and so on. So everyone collaborated, and they really succeeded in closing this loop. But this is an example of this network governance and of the competencies that are needed. And these transition brokers are now a kind of a new profession, you know, because maybe it was taken for granted. Yeah, you are nice, you're communicative, you can connect. No, no, no. You should understand all the stakeholders, find the common language, and really make a change on the ground. And you can see different, and you mentioned tourism and so on. So in every segment, you can find the need for that, and then the success comes with that. Yeah.
Definitely, there are plenty of examples, and I would just say collaboration and out of box thinking. So if we were doing some linear business model for years now, it's okay. But let's brainstorm. Is there a kind of different way of doing things? Is there a better way? The waste that I'm producing as a company, can I reuse part of it? Or if I cannot, can someone else take use of it? Or my resources that I'm using in my process, is there a different way of using those resources? And there is now, you also mentioned at the beginning, Oladea, a lot of kind of pressure on design of things. So from the very beginning, from the very early process of kind of thinking about certain product or a certain service, how can I make it more reusable in a way? So I believe that also governments, but not only kind of central governments, but also regional governments and local communities, if they start thinking and kind of what can we do better here? Could we find some alternative way? I believe that plenty of ideas would come to the surface.
Actually, it is exciting time, I would say. It's actually nothing bad. It's actually very, very interesting, and we need to be open-minded to those changes which are coming. So for maybe the end, if we don't have any question, we have a questions.
Yeah,
so
let's
we have
wait for a question.
Okay.
Yes, I will read the first one. Maybe for both of you, Mohammed and Ladea, how to inspire women in business to lead the circular economy transition?
I don't know whether
first-hand experience.
we need to be inspired, or are we already inspired by nature for this concept? But I think that maybe to encourage women more than inspire, because as I said, this is a kind of a female characteristic that we are looking for, are in us mainly. But that they are valued. I would say that this is important, because in the linear times, even I can say from my personal experience, when I was working in bigger systems, and since I'm coming from creative industries, I was like treated, you're creative again, you know, this is not a serious thing, and so on. So now this is becoming something. If you're creative, if you're thinking out of the box, if you are collaborative, this is okay. But it was not okay 10 years ago. I can tell you from my own experiences. So I think that this is encouraging us if we are co-creating the culture where you can be who you are, where it is accepted that you are collaborative by spirit, that it is accepted that you're thinking out of the box, that it is accepted that you don't know everything, and so on. So I think this is a kind of the culture. And referring, I must say that, to what you said before about circular economy, to find the link with the everyday life, also in the way how we eat, for example, you know, yes, local food, let's encourage those who are producing and local food, and let's shorten the value chains there. Clothing, second-hand shop, it's perfectly fine. I bought it there and it's not less worth, and so on and so on. So this is also what we women can do by example, to feel good and to perform like that.
If you're speaking about women or leadership, basically we often refer to this glass ceiling. So by notion, we all say, yes, we are in an inclusive society. But when we look into the figures, you know, we see that we are lacking women in kind of management positions. This can be really a opportunity to think about something new. Okay, I want to go into the traditional models where there is this glass ceiling, or where a woman won't be valued, but I can offer something completely new, what will market and the environment will accept, and basically a woman can be a leader with totally something new. So showcasing that things could be done differently, and of course not only differently, but basically better for not only for a business, but for the wider community.
True. Second question is first maybe a thought, but then a question at the end. We know that every business has KPIs of growth, and every year there is a target in sales, production, and turnover, and so on. So how to reconcile these business goals with being more sustainable? You have mentioned both that there are limits to growth. So, however, it is difficult to sell this kind of thought or idea internally in companies. How to deal with this?
You know, we are all in a business, and we know basically that a business is a bottom line story. So, if you're experiencing problems in kind of putting that to market or kind of selling it, try the other way. Try to save costs in companies. Try to tackle those KPIs that basically will look into the profitability, but tackle the other part of the profitability. Say, look, if we would do things differently, we could save costs here, and maybe ideas will come soon. Soon after that, as Ladea said, it's kind of a love relationship. There is a first crush, but basically there are things afterwards. Seeing cost savings in kind of first year of financials could spur that relationship in kind of increasing revenue in a second year. So I really believe, and I know both Ladea and me shared a lot of positive things, and not to sound only as kind of buzzwords, but I really believe from a first-hand experience in working both with companies and also with governments. When you start thinking innovatively, thinking in your own business, you really find plenty of ways how can you do something differently, kind of to nurture circular economy, but of course, yes, to tackle KPIs.
Yeah, and it means stepping out of comfort zone for business as well. And we can see, so everything is fine with KPIs and everything is fine with profit. But the growth is the problem, because you can get profit even without growth. For example, if you shift from product to services, I can use the example of Philips. So Philips is producing bulbs. Okay, but then they said, okay, we would like to stay on the market, but not by producing lights, but by selling lighting service. So they're still in the same business, but they would come to this building and they would say, okay, you have so many lights, now we will take it over. We will manage it in a way that these bulbs will last longer, that we will take care when we switch them off, switch them on. We will maintain that. We will take care of where are we buying electricity from. So, but it is still Philips. And they are earning money through service, and they're interested that this bulb lasts longer, because for them this is lower cost, and they're earning money. So, but this is a mindset shift, and this is the business model shift. And you can find a lot of examples. So there is nothing, the circular economy, it is economy in the word. So it is not that it is economical nonsense. No, but it is really stepping out of this silos and of this comfort zone, looking for new solutions and implying them and implementing them on the market. And that's why it's so exciting.
But in this survey also mentioned that this is the way how you diverse from the others and be more competitive with some other products or services.
That's why I started with those examples from Patagonia, Fairphone, and so on, because you can see that it is bringing profits. And since the market and we users and consumers are sensitive as well, now we are even looking for this kind of products and services. So,
And coming back to start of our discussion when we spoke about a buzz, so this positive buzz can really spur that. So we kind of wider community with wider society, they will look into smart solutions that will save money or kind of bring new money on the table. So definitely circular economy is a super positive trend that we can only see more and more benefits in the future, not the opposite direction.
There are two more questions. First one of our attendees is saying thank you, very interesting debate and presentation. And he wants to know how to motivate small enterprises to apply circular economy principles, how to demonstrate benefits to small entities, and if you, Mohammed or Ladea, you have some good inspiring cases. Well, some of them were already presented during the panel. And before you answer, we would just like to emphasize that our attendees will get the presentation Ladea shared at the beginning, because there are also some cases that were introduced there. But please, Mohammed, first.
Yeah, I would like to know the industry where attendee comes. Maybe I could share some kind of more imminent examples, but I've shared some from a clothing industry. There are plenty of
banking industry.
Banking industry. Oh, okay. In my previous life, I was a banker, so I could share some. I could share some there. Definitely, what I said. Banks, especially kind of risk management part of the bank, should put more focus on circular and generally sustainable business models. It's not but just respecting governance and laws, but basically respecting the business model of a bank, knowing that those funds invested would be paid back, of course, with a margin in a certain amount of time. What we are exploring now, both the kind of global, both from a natural kind of social level, a lot of things are changing, and those things should be taken into the consideration when it comes to a place to disburse funds, when it comes to kind of a source of funds. So I believe providing funds of banks into right places is key there. And yes, not to mention, but basically as banks, as kind of pretty large organizations, I believe there is plenty of room there to kind of save on resources and do some additional things there. But firstly would be to kind of focus on really financing something that will provide a value in a long term.
Yeah, if we go to banks and to the question was small companies like
Small,
SMEs, and banks. Yeah, lessons learned again in the countries mentioned before is that the bank should consider itself more as a partner. So, for example, the Dutch banks invested 2 years into the research of SMEs and their business models to understand them better. Where are the potentials for the circular transformation? So the bank is not only, so the banker is not sitting there waiting for the client to come, but is a partner. And they jointly research and try to figure out how to make this business more sustainable, more circular, because both of them will profit. And this is this collaboration in action. So not that we are saying, oh, let's collaborate, but I will do this and you do that. No, together we go and we find that. And for banks, this transformation, I must say that as much as I see, this is happening, yeah.
Which brings us logically to our last question at the moment. Which industries are aware of the sustainable importance the most? So which are those one step ahead in comparison to others? Maybe some examples from your work, Mohammed, or your Ladea, or even yours, Joanna.
Probably hard to say, just to pick an industry. But as I already said, I believe the highest potential could be achieved in manufacturing. Not maybe the highest, but the quickest potential. So I'm sure that companies in manufacturing industries, just starting to think about could really have some quick wins there. But all other industries like tourism, like agriculture, especially food industry. So not only for part of producing food, but basically both transport and consumption of food. It's a huge thing. And if I'm saying again, so don't want to repeat, but basically all industries, when they start thinking about it, very soon they come to conclusion how they can be a part of it. So for all those kind of considering whether to start a strong vote, yes, start thinking, start brainstorming, and basically you can very soon be a leader here.
Yeah, and I can add that this is like the COVID. It's the circular virus, and it's everywhere. So you can find it in different, really, as you said. So manufacturing, of course, but all others as well. But what is also important, I would say, that we have, with these lenses of circularity, the local and the global story. And a lot is happening, of course, globally, but on the local level, like local communities and cities are becoming the, let's say, kind of anchors of this change, because on this level you have different stakeholders and you can implement these models. So we also work with cities and others as well, because then you have access to those actors on the local level, and then we come to the roadmaps on the national level, and then we come, hopefully, to the regional roadmap for the transformation of our region.
Okay, thank you to our audience on those interesting questions. And Ladea and Mohammed, for the end, what would you like to send as a last message to our audience to encourage them to go bravery toward a circular economy?
I would say that, according to Valentine's Day, that once we understand it as something what is bringing joy and fulfillment and purpose, then it's worth doing that. So follow that, and if the circular economy fits into that, then it's the right thing.
Definitely be courageous, start exploring, and as I said, I really guarantee that you will find both the kind of all other, but also a financial benefit in it.
Okay. Thank you both
Thank you.
on this great panel. Maybe I can add just one sentence. So, since today is Valentine's Day, don't forget to hug and kiss your loved one because it doesn't cost anything and it's priceless. And do it more often than only on Valentine's Days.
Thank you, thank you. Even I didn't knew that auditors can be such,
We have to remind ourselves of that, but okay.
You have it in the calendar. Thank you, Ivana. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Ladea. I think it was really insightful. I like it. I think, as you mentioned COVID for several times, I think we are already off balance, not in our comfort zone. So we can as well start with the circular economy.
Virus.
When we were preparing for this, I asked you, who is this guy, this lady in a company that we should address? Who is the change manager? You mentioned CEO. So we will have this tape. We will have the whole presentation and this workshop we will send you the tape. And of course, you can forward this, and we will of course forward it to some of the CEOs who were interested into the topic and could not attend live. But it's really, we can listen in the car, so I really like this concept that COVID brought us, Thank you all again, and thank you all. We'll be in touch for the next workshop, the details that we will discuss and send you later on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.